And it kind of inspired me to share my paranormal experiences. Since I've had paranormal things happen to me since I was very young. So I'll start from my youngest and I'll go to the most recent in series of videos. But I'll start with my most recent. Was actually one that I don't even remember. I was like 4 years old supposedly, and I was with my brother, and I just randomly blurted out in a blood-curdling scream, and my mom, my dad, everybody was all like, oh my god, what's going on, what's going on, what's going on? And I was like, there's a man, there's a man. I guess he thought, I thought he was a burglar or something. Sorry, my nose itches. Alright, and so I described the guy to my mom, and my mom thought it was rather strange the way I described him, so she grabbed a picture and she showed me, and she was like, was this who you saw? And it was a picture of my grandpa, and I never saw the picture before. And I was like, yeah, that was the guy, that was the guy. How do you have a picture of him? And she's like, well, sweetie, that's your grandpa. And he had died before I was born. Unfortunately, though, I don't remember that experience. I really wish I do, because I think that would have been really neat to say that I remember seeing my grandpa. After that, though, we moved from that house to the house that my parents still have, and that house was just crazily haunted. And apparently my mother knew that an old man had died in it before we moved in. But she never shared that with any of us. Thank you, by the way. And I had some pretty crazy experiences from like the moment we moved in. I remember waking up in the middle of the night and thinking that my dad or my brothers were in my room, and they weren't. And there was just this figure in my room, and I wouldn't know until the next day that it wasn't my brothers or my dad. And several times, I mean, I can't tell you how many times it was, but there were footsteps always running up and down the hallway, always, and it was always in the middle of the night when nobody was awake. I would wake up from hearing these loud footsteps, and I'd get up and I'd look around, and my dad would be snoring, my mom would be snoring, sorry, and the cats would be asleep, the dogs would be asleep, everybody was asleep. And I'm like, okay, that was weird. So I'd go back in my bed. As soon as my head would hit the pillow, I would hear it again. And this happened all the way until I was like 14, 15. And that was because I was homeschooled for my high school years. And I would, not supposed to, but I would stay up really super late in the middle of the night. And I'd be on the computer playing my little games, and I would hear just completely just loud stomping. Like, my dad is like what, over 250 pounds, 6'4". He's not over 250?
No, about right that or a little less.
Oh, okay. Well, around 250. My dad's around 250 pounds and 6'4", huge guy. And it would sound like somebody as big as him running up and down my hallways, and it would scare the living crap out of me. And I ended up panicking so bad, where I just put my head on the computer desk and I was like, go away, you're dead, you need to go to the light, you're dead, leave me alone, you're scaring me. And it stopped for the rest of the night. And it did start up again the next day, but it wasn't as loud. And then each day after that, for about 2 weeks, it got lighter and lighter until it was finally just gone. And I always thought that was just really weird. But like crazy things would happen to me when I was about 11 or 12. I was finally tall enough to look over the counter. I know, I'm short, sorry. But I was finally tall enough to look over the counter, so I was allowed to cook my own meals finally. And I remember distinctly, I was making myself a grilled cheese in the kitchen one day. I was like 11, 12 years old, and I could have swore I saw my dad come in the kitchen from the hallway, heard him and everything in the corner of my eyes, and lean over to me and go, "What are you cooking?" Or something like that. And I'm like, "Well, I'm hungry." And then mumbled something, and I'm like, "What?" And I'm focusing on what I'm cooking. And bless you, little girl. I'm focusing on what I'm cooking, and I'm like, I can't hear you. What was that, Dad? And I'd hear it again, and I'm like, and it was just really, really mumbled. It was really weird. And I was like, I can't understand you. And I look up, and I look next to me, and there was nobody there. And I'm like, that was freaky. And still to this day, that really freaked me out that happened, because it was so strong to me that I saw a person come from the hallway walking up next to me where I was at the stove and leaning into me to tell me something. And I looked up and they were gone. And I was just like, no, there was somebody there. And as far as in my, I guess you could say, adolescence, those were the strongest experiences I had. I had other experiences. I had like cold spots and things happen to me, but they were on such a daily basis in that house that it just kind of became routine. For instance, I don't know if you remember this, the hair dryer.
Hair dryer.
The hair dryer falling, remember?
Oh, falling, yes. Used to do that a lot.
Yeah, we would put our hair dryer kind of hooked onto one of the towel racks, and the cord was thick, but it wasn't really heavy, and we would kind of jam in the hair dryer pretty hard into that towel rack, and every time we would leave it alone, and that sucker would just go up and fall out. There were times where I would stay, oh sorry, horrid lighting. Oh God, that's ugly. There were times where like I would sit there and I would stay and I would watch that sucker lift up and fall out of the towel rack. I mean, it was creepy. I mean, and it got so bad to where we would wrap the cord around the towel rack, and we would wrap it, and it would still somehow magically fall. I mean, I remember very distinctly just getting so tired of it to where I actually unplugged it from the wall. I wrapped it around the towel rack, then I plugged it back in, and I shoved the hair dryer in there, and I was like, now it's not going anywhere, it's not gonna fall. About an hour or 2 hours later, we heard it fall again, and I was just like, SOB. I mean, for crying out loud, that should not have fallen. And so I looked at my sister and I was like, do you mind picking up the hair dryer, please? And she was like, all right, fine. So she gets up and goes, and and she goes, Sarah, why did you leave the cord on the floor like that? And I was like, what? She goes, the cord, it was all over the floor. Don't you just, pick it up and, hook it on the towel rack or something? And I was like, I did actually. I wrapped it around the pole of the towel rack. And she was like, well, that's impossible because it was on the floor. And that creeped me out. I don't know if I ever told you about that. That creeped me out really bad. But yeah, I mean, stuff like this just like happened every day in our house. And that's what really helped me get really peeked into paranormal things and investigating and everything. And I actually miss investigating. But in any case, just wanted to share my little story. I'll post another video of a story probably in the next couple of days. Stay tuned. I will be posting more of these. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Also, please subscribe if you haven't already. Blinding light. And yeah, and I'll see you guys soon. So since this is like not my makeup tutorials, I'm not gonna do my hello makeup monsters and all that stuff. So Just have a good day, okay? Bye.